Welcome to Adelaide City Talks. I'm your host, Henry Davis, and joining me is my co-host and fellow City of Adelaide Councillor, Mary Kouros. Now, in this podcast, we give you an exclusive look into the discussions and decisions from our latest council meeting. So whether you're a resident, a visitor, or a local government nerd, buckle up and stay tuned to what's happening in the City of Adelaide.
And we must point out, Henry, that these are our views and not the views of the City of Adelaide.
That's right. So, first on the agenda, what should we dive straight into?
Oh, there's so much that went on last night. It was very confusing.
Very emotive.
So I hope we don't confuse our listeners
You know
today.
what I thought was funny? I'm usually
what?
quite, I suppose, in retrospect, might be a bit of a character. But everyone else last night was really stepping up to play that part. Like I felt Councillor Elliott, Councillor Siebentrit, they got very excited over what I thought was very, very boring policies. And I was, maybe I'm a bad influence on the chamber.
Well, there was also a very distinct block voting last night.
Yeah, there was. That was
faction
obvious.
voting. It was very obvious. And over the points that we're going to make today, but let's talk about the flag, Henry.
Oh, yeah, the flag.
Did you achieve what you wanted?
No,
Why?
not yet. So what I was hoping is that the flag. So
You didn't get clarity?
Bit of background.
You didn't clarity? No clarity?
No clarity at
Oh,
all. So
okay.
bit of background for you listening at home or in your cars. So after the referendum, on the Tuesday, rocked up to work and I got a text message from one of my constituents basically saying that the flag was lowered to half-mast. Now, flags are normally lowered to half-mast as a sign of mourning, and the resident complained about that. And so I made some inquiries to figure out who had ordered the flag to be lowered to half-mast as a sign of respect for the dead. I didn't think anybody had died over the referendum, not that I knew about. And it turns out that the Lord Mayor had directed staff to lower the flag to half-mast. So there ensued a number of issues. So the local government minister got involved. It went all over radio. Everyone was questioning why this was a time of mourning. And it turns out that it was the Lord Mayor's decision to lower the flag. And there's some really problematic legal reasons.
So your issue is not the reason. Your issue is, well, sort of the reason, but your issue is that she didn't follow protocol?
Yeah, so there's two things. So I was in the military, right? So I've served in the Royal Australian Air Force for 2 years. Our protocols and customs and those types of things are really important to me. And a flag, there's the only more symbolic thing you can do to a flag than lower it to half-mast is burn it. Right. So this is a big gesture. And when you lower the flag to half-mast, it's like a 21-gun salute, that type of thing. It's a big military gesture to lower a flag to half-mast. And it's a time of mourning to respect those that have died. And you see that on Anzac Day and Remembrance Day. And I took real issue with the Lord Mayor saying that this was a time of mourning. Now, she tried to frame it as this, empathy. That's not what that symbol means. There are other symbols that you can come up with to demonstrate empathy if you want, but lowering a flag to half-mast is absolutely not the correct thing to do.
So when you ask the questions, and I was a little bit taken back because they weren't really answering your questions.
No, so yeah.
And that then started singling alarm bells for me because I have my own view. But my own view is my own view. We have procedures, we have protocols, and we have things that we must follow as a council. And it's very evident from our protocol that that is not what is part of the requirement in regards and acceptable, part of the protocol.
Right. So the only thing that we can do as a council, right, on the
we
general
have to make
administration,
it a council decision.
Yeah. And so the general administration of how the city operates, it comes down to our policies that we as a council implement.
Yeah.
And one of the council policies that was adopted and is in force is the flag flying banners policy. And in that particular policy, it says that a flag will only be lowered to half-mast at the request of the state or federal government. Now, somehow the flag ended up being lowered, and I asked the CEO what this has happened. She said, "Oh no, we asked Premier and Cabinet." All right, I said, "Oh, what happened?" She said, "Oh yeah, we asked Premier and Cabinet." I said, "What did they say?" And then she said they didn't have a problem with it. And I said, "No, that's very different. Premier and Cabinet not taking a view on and our flag flying policy is very different from our policy requiring a request from the state or federal government." Then I found out that it was actually the Lord Mayor. So on 5AA, she went on the program, and the interviewer, I think it was Matt, said, did you make this decision? She said, yes, I did. I make many decisions. Now, alarm bells ring for me. So I know the Local Government Act very, very well. I know our standing orders and our meeting procedures very, very well, because that's the rules of the game and that's the way that our governments work and that's how we hold them accountable. So there's a provision called 62(4)(c).
Yeah.
Great provision, quite, excellent provision. But it basically says that no member of council can direct a staff member. And the Lord Mayor went on radio and she said that. Now, last night, she gave this personal explanation, which was saying, it was strange because she's absolutely resiled. She never said in that, I made the decision. She just said it was agreed and there's all this general language and council passed this motion in May. Did you think that the council motion to support the voice included lowering the flag to half-mast? Were you under that impression when you voted for it in May?
Well,
after the referendum.
I didn't even have that in my thoughts, Henry.
Oh, really?
Sorry. No,
it didn't
cross my mind.
Really?
But what I did get out of it last night is that this is the second time something's been done without proper governance or proper procedure in place. We had the issue with the prayer. Look at the mess in that.
Yeah.
Now we've got the issue with the flag. Look at the mess in that. And it just keeps going.
Totally. So
I'm really worried that if we have a council, which it appears to be so, that is running on its own rules and not the rules that we have, that has been set out as part of a legislation and procedures and guidelines and protocols, then what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what concerns me.
Totally. It shows to me that the administration, at the direction of the Lord Mayor, not me, obviously, they wouldn't listen to me or you. They might listen to other elected members, who knows. But it shows to me that they're willing to just depart from the policy. And as a councillor, that's really concerning because how do you run the city and how do you make decisions? How do you know that what you're saying is voting is binding?
Well, the minister was very clear in Parliament.
Oh, yeah, he was. So Sam Telfer, the shadow local government minister, asked the question in question time of the local government minister, and the question was, does the mayor have the authority to direct staff? And his answer was an unequivocal, you do not have this power. No mayor has this power. And then he said, has there been a change to the flag flying protocols? Did the state government issue this change? Blah, blah, blah. And then the local government minister said, I'm going to refer to my previous answer. The mayor has no power to direct. And this was after the Lord Mayor said on radio that she made the decision.
Well, let's see what happens, Henry. But apparently there's going to be a review. There's going to be a report.
Oh, there's legal advice.
Where there's legal advice. So
the wagons are mustering, aren't they? They are circling around.
Let's not get into the legal advice. Can I just talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah.
Sorry, since we've opened up that conversation regarding the spend in this city. And the spend is just killing me at the moment. I asked a question on notice regards to the spend, how much we've been spending in regards to the new governance system, the new committee structure, in externals.
Yep.
So my questions were broken up because it can get very detailed. Expenditure on the external facilitator for the council members' induction, training and workshops. Yep. Expenditure on independent external consultants. Legal advice on governance issues, and the cost of the revised committee structure. These are the questions that I wanted to know. What really took me back was that the period from November 22 to September 23, we have spent $36,000 on legal advice on governance issues. That's $36,000. We've spent $48,000 on the revised new committee structure. We spent $49,000.
That's just to implement it.
On external facilitators for council members' training and induction, and we spent $4.459 million on the expenditure for independent external consultants.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Let's call it 4.5.
That's a lot of staff.
4.5.
That's 40
million.
staff for a year that we could hire for that was paid for external consultants.
Does my head in.
How do we spend that much money?
So this really concerns me. I have got another question on notice, how much we've spent in legal fees over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
But it seems to me we've increased our rates.
This legal advice isn't in writing.
No, well, probably not.
Some of it.
We've increased our rates. We've increased, we've reintroduced
We didn't
fees
increase our
and-
rates by much, did we?
Oh, 10%?
Oh, 10%.
Is it really? Well, we've increased all our fees and charges.
But now we can afford to pay for all this legal advice and committee fees.
We're hitting our small businesses, bricks and mortar businesses with introducing outdoor dining fees. And may I add that the City of New South Wales has suspended outdoor dining fees until 2025, right? We have reintroduced it. And then we provide discount. Which I'm quite happy to do, to events being held for more than 28 days on the parkland. So that means place Fringe, Gluttony,
they
Tasting
recognise that
Australia.
there's a problem, right?
Yeah, so we've cut from our budget $120,000 to support large enterprises, which I'm told brings business to the city, sure,
But outdoor dining doesn't.
But outdoor dining doesn't?
Well, all the restaurants are apparently doing fine. There's no problem there.
No problem whatsoever. And all the
Don't
restaurants...
ask any questions.
No.
Don't ask them. Certainly, that was the thing. You had a motion on notice.
But plus we pay $140,000 to close the east end of the city for the Fringe. So we've got that cost on top. So we've taken $120,000 hit from our budget, right? We do pay $140,000 for
That's $260.
So I don't understand, Henry. What's going on? What sort of council do we have?
High taxing, and then see that's the issue, right? And this is the left view of politics: is tax high, get the money, redistribute it, rather than. And this is my issue: is that this redistribution isn't fair, and you just probably shouldn't take it from them in the first place.
Well,
that's my biggest issue with the way that the left do politics, and that's what we're seeing at the moment, which I'm really concerned about.
We are, but, and I'm the only thing. Can I say something?
And $115,000 in committee chairs. So councillors are getting paid $115,000 a year over the next 4 years to run these committees and sit in a chair and run meeting procedures.
Well, that $48,000 spent so far, right, is the committee chairs, but also for extra staff.
Yeah.
So they've had to employ 2 more staff members. For governance, because of the impact that these four separate committee structures.
Because they have to run it, they have to put on the agenda, they have to write the agendas, write the minutes, and all the processes that come with a Section 41 committee.
Where is simplifying it, how we had it before. All I want, actually, I have got the greatest idea on how it should be run and not costing ratepayers money and still achieve the outcomes that you want to do.
Yeah.
But hey.
Wasn't that funny? All the grandstanding yesterday, everyone was so passionate about having 4 meetings, and they were just like, so the councillors, I think David Elliott in particular and Stephen Trett, and they were just so passionate about our current committee structure. At the moment, we have 4 committees.
Yes.
And then I stood up and said, well, just hold on, settle down. just calm your farm. There's a much easier way to do this, because we have this hilarious thing in these committee meetings, which are just completely ridiculous, where we have one. So the Finance and Governance Committee has a lot on the agenda. Sometimes it has 15 agenda items.
And that was a really good point.
Yeah. And then afterwards, there's nothing in the second one, or vice versa.
Yes.
Right? So you have this committee meeting that's set out for an hour and a half. There's nothing on the agenda. So now you've got all this staff sitting in the background, waiting for the future.
And that's their time waiting.
Committee. Yeah. You can't, and that's the problem, right? So I would suggest that we have one committee.
Yes.
We have the Deputy Lord Mayor chair it.
Yes.
And if he doesn't, and they could rotate the chair. That's what everybody else does. You can just rotate the chair to other people on a rotating basis. Give us all a bit of experience on how difficult it is to chair a meeting. It's not that hard.
No, it's
not. They can see how easy it would be. Then we can still have those 4 topics that we have with finance and infrastructure.
Well, they are.
City and culture.
Well, they're labelled in the agenda.
But we have the flexibility there. So we don't want, in the second committee meeting, that could be in another 2 hours time, having 4 or 5 or 6 different staff waiting around to give their reports when we're running a workshop in the first committee. So why not bring the staff items first, get them out of the way, and then go back to the workshop where, say, the CEO is going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
In that way, we can actually relieve pressure from the staff.
That's how we organised.
How you used to do it.
Yeah, that's how we did it before. It gave the flexibility for the CEO to put the committee agenda in a certain order that doesn't have to have the staff there the whole time. And but you made some really good points though. Sorry, Henry, to interrupt you.
Oh, no. Please continue all the good points I made.
Your good points
That's
were
my
made.
bad.
One was a staff member. That was a really good point. Number two is the other point that you made in regards to, how we have to open up a meeting and then close a meeting. That the procedure doesn't allow for a flow, right? And then the confusion that the agenda causes when it comes into the council meeting, because it's not very clear and precise in regards to what was decided at committee and what is decided in council. And then it doesn't, it allows it. We make decisions in committee, which then in turn we change it again in council, which causes confusion to the public.
And the reason is, I actually think that it contributes to worse decision making, because on the council meeting, when you make the meeting at the council, it's final.
Yeah.
Right. But when you make it at committee, it's not.
No.
So you can, just from my perspective, it doesn't feel like either of them are very important now.
No.
So it feels like in the committee, well, I can just change it in a week's time, doesn't matter. And then when I get to council, it's like, oh, well, it doesn't matter now because we've already decided it.
Yeah.
And that's what I find is a real issue.
I know.
So I'm thinking about going forward, not participating in the debate in the committee meetings, just allow that to answer questions, but moving my debate to the actual and asking, more questions into the council chamber, because I find that, because we also don't get the reports in the actual agenda pack. You have to go back to the committee to see what we talked about because it's not there. So I'm thinking about changing my approach to the way I do things.
Yeah, and I know this sounds all pretty boring to everybody, like, oh, what the hell they're talking about.
No, they're loving it. They're like, wow, this stuff is great. Tell me more about committee meeting structures.
Before I got onto council, I thought the same thing. I thought, what are they going on about? But it really,
it's about how
flow
we make decisions.
of the committee and making the decision is really important for transparency.
And it would save an absolute monster.
Money.
So I think we're talking already about 250 grand.
Yeah.
Right? That's your outdoor dining fees. Twice.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably.
That's 2 outdoor dining. And that's a real difference just because of the way that we structured the committee meetings.
I agree.
Anyway.
What else did we talk about?
Crocodile tears last night over it.
What else did we talk about, Henry?
What's in a name, Mary? What's in a name?
What's in a name? Is a name important? You thought so. We disagreed on that.
Yeah, we did. That's because you were wrong, though.
Why am I wrong? Well, the policy is the same. So for everyone listening,
we have a future
let's
fund.
Set up what it is.
Yes,
we have a future fund, which is a particular policy. Don't know if everyone's aware of it, in which if an asset is sold, it's quarantined into a fund, and it offsets any of our debt, and then we transparently show where we use those funds in the future in regards to property acquisitions.
So we sell some property, and then there's a dollar credited to the future fund to say that we're going to now buy property worth that much again. Which doesn't actually make any sense, because if we sell something in 2000 for $10 million, in 2020 there's only $10 million in the future fund. Or does it increase with interest? I think it does increase with interest. It's CPI.
Well, it offsets the debt, so it helps support the interest that we pay.
I know that's what we're using it for, but what I'm talking about is, let's just say we sell land in 2000.
Yeah.
20 years later, we're going to buy new land to do some kind of development or something like that from the council.
I hope the council doesn't work in 20 years spans. There is,
how long has the future fund been going for?
The future fund's only been going for 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
Right, 3 years or whatever it is.
Well, you'd hope that there was good turnover in the future fund.
Well, that's the whole point.
Because the intention is that we don't lose the amount of property that we have a continuation of the amount of property we have.
So the policy is there driven by administration to provide council with a decision on what they want to do with it.
Yeah.
So it has to be actively always working for us and what the future means for this money that's quarantined there. And they obviously give us a report to give us more bang for our buck, so to speak, right? Every council wants to spend money, Henry. There's no way that money stays in there for 20 years and no one's spending. Not going to happen.
Well, the problem is we're in debt, right?
But the problem is, that's another story, but the problem is, in the past, what has happened is that assets have been sold. Let's talk about Grenfell Street U Park, sold for $33 million. Do you know where that money went?
Well, I don't have it.
No. It apparently went into operations.
Yeah.
It got chewed up.
Well, that's right, yeah.
Nobody
it just disappears.
Nobody knows where it went.
So the intention is to stop us from selling assets that we might need to that are underperforming, and then that just disappearing into operational requirements, right?
Yes.
It's meant to prevent and preserve our capital assets,
Yes.
so that we don't spend capital on operating expenditure.
Yes, because we can pay our bills.
Yeah.
It's proven that we can pay our bills.
So rather than talking about the strategy,
yes.
what we did last night for about an hour or so
We
was
talked
talk about the name.
So everyone's agreed on the strategy.
Yeah, everyone's
and
fine.
Finally, Councillor Martin understands it because he didn't. There was 3,000 questions last time of council because he couldn't wrap his head around it. But finally, he gets it.
Yeah.
I think finally the Lord Mayor understands.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful that they're on board and understanding what the policy means. But the Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Martin, wanted to change the name. It was not the policy he wanted to change, and I wish he was honest and say that's what he wanted to do. I know he wants to remove the policy.
Yeah, wants to get rid of it, right?
Wants to get rid of the strategic review. Wants to do all
But
of those.
the next best thing
To
removing an entire policy,
to be able to stand up and talk about how confusing the policy is by saying let's change the name.
Yeah,
but nobody could arrive to a name.
And I tried to remove.
But hang on.
He wants a whole report on what we should call this thing. So it's
but-
called the
but
Future
admin-
Fund.
but
The
admin-
administration said the Strategic Property Reserve.
Yes, that's
they
right.
didn't like that.
He didn't like
You
that.
didn't like that.
Well,
I tried to
because
move
it means
motion.
the same thing.
Yeah, I know it does, but it's
A reserve fund. It's the same thing. It's just a name.
funny.
No, what does he want to call it? Phil's Fund.
Let's call it Phil's Fund.
So
So he wants an alternative name. So we spent 45 minutes, and probably
Riveting.
far too long on this podcast
Riveting.
talking about the name of a future
riveting
fund.
stuff,
Ah,
Henry.
it's important
Riveting,
stuff.
such important stuff.
Next thing.
What was
Shall
all
we-
more important stuff?
Yeah,
What's that?
I was going to talk about the strategic property review.
Yeah, that was
And
even
so
another hour
now, Mary,
discussion.
I'm a new councillor. Now,
Yes.
I understand that the City of Adelaide has committed to selling all of its land,
That's not true.
and all of its land, we're going to sell everything. And thanks to the Deputy Lord Mayor last night, he stopped us selling everything, including Town Hall, because everything's got to go as bargain basement. Sell, sell, sell. That's what I understood.
It's
Isn't
a
that
fire
right, Mary?
sale. No.
Oh,
The strategic property review.
wait, I got that wrong?
It's wrong. You know,
I
that's
was
wrong.
listening to the Deputy Lord Mayor, and that's what he said. Ish.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because I was listening to him too, and I just thought to myself, "Oh my God, how much more can I listen?"
You thought to yourself, I could see it on your face, Mary. You were just.
I was just going, "Oh my God, could you spin? We should have a spin."
They all jumped on board though, didn't they?
Well, I don't. Is it because I don't understand the policy?
I
mean,
didn't-
admin's comment was very clear.
I know, they
the
said, didn't they?
council makes the decision whether the assets.
Oh,
are
point of order,
sold.
Mary. No, that's not in the policy. So the Deputy Lord Mayor, you were saying, you were quoting
I
from the
was
administration
quoting.
report,
And
the Deputy Lord Mayor gets up, talks over the top of you, and so that you can't actually read from the administration report saying how outrageous that was. And
How
you're like, it's in the
crazy.
report.
How crazy! Because
How
I
dare
was
you read from the
reading
report?
The Strategic Property Action Plan provides a roadmap for the further investigation
dare
into
you.
council's property assets.
How
Point
could you
of
say
order,
such a
Lord
thing?
Mayor. What's my point of order?
Yeah, you've breached the meeting something or other.
What
I'm like,
breaching
that's
that I'm reading does not provide an approval to transact on these properties.
Right, so you're trying to tell me that this strategic property review we're not selling everything?
No.
Oh, well, see, that's not what I understood. It was so funny because just from my perspective as a new councillor, you and the Deputy Lord Mayor are kicking this political football across the chamber back and forth, and I'm sitting there going, what are we doing? I don't understand why everyone's so angry. I would love to play this game, but I don't understand the rules.
Well, you can. The rules were right there.
Well, I had no
Black and
idea what
white.
you guys were. He wanted to say that, we're going to stop all selling of these assets.
But you're not
And then you were
stopping
saying-
any transactions relating to
I know, and then you're saying we're
disposal
not selling anything. And he's saying, yes, we are. And you're saying, no, we're not.
or acquisition of property assets requires a resolution of council case by case.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think that is a very good example of what a faction is, because the reality is this strategic property review doesn't have any sale in it, doesn't have any contemplated, let's sell all these assets, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't say it in there. That's what the administration comment said. However, all these other councillors, and there was the consistent councillors, all backed him up on that.
Yeah.
And it was weird.
Yeah, very weird.
They shouldn't have done it. I don't understand why they voted that way. And the
No.
only reason I can tell to vote in that way is because they were voting as a bloc. And they were just backing up their mate.
Really sad.
Yeah.
Have you noticed something, Henry?
Yes.
We've
this
been
time?
almost 12 months in council.
Oh, yeah.
12 months.
Do we get to go visit the governor again? When you get elected to a council, you get to go and visit the governor.
No,
that was a fun day.
But you do get to reflect.
Can we go visit somewhere else?
I do get to reflect.
Yeah.
What have you reflected on the last 12 months?
Chaos. We haven't done anything.
We haven't done anything.
We need a major rates overhaul. We have $140 million worth of Main Street upgrades to deliver on. We cut that by $100 million. The mayor is more focused on raising and lowering flags and praying. Oh, and the major objective was, behind this whole prayer thing, was to shorten the agenda. Now it's longer. What have we done? We didn't get our valuations done on time. We got the couple of days before we approved the budget. It's been really disappointing because coming from the City of Burnside Council, I wanted to see, this is a capital city council. This is the best of the best of the best.
Yeah.
And it's kind of all over the place.
I
can't get information. I don't know what's going on. Nobody answers questions in question time. It's very difficult to get your head around.
Well, well, to be really honest, I did have another motion or another question on notice with roundtable discussions. Did you see the answer to that question? You may not have noticed it.
No, I was trying to figure out what the rules of your game, your political game was.
It's not. There were roundtable discussions with prominent stakeholders or relevant stakeholders in the north, south, for Harney Street, and in the west, in regards to a master planning for our street.
Yes.
It's been on the go last term of council.
Yep.
Okay. So because we had COVID right in the middle of it, it was really difficult. So the Lord Mayor at the time had roundtable discussions and provided these updates to council. They weren't held in confidence. They were provided, information was provided to councillors what they would like to see upgraded on their street.
But where's the money going to come from, Mary? How are we going to pay for it?
Well, that's why we need to go straight to concept plans, don't we?
Yeah,
so we know
straight
how
to concept
much.
plans.
But we
cut the concept plans and not tell anybody what we're cutting
But
from.
last term of council, we had roundtable discussions. We got all this information to be able to deliver concept plans now. Yet people are. This council is dismissing all that information, dismissing all that work, and saying, but we are going to deliver.
Oh, yeah. Apparently it's in our long-term budget to deliver all these concept plans.
Henry, we've got 3 years left.
I know.
How are we going to deliver it?
Well, it would look very good on a flyer for a next campaign flyer.
Yeah, what?
We've delivered 4 Main Street upgrades.
But you haven't.
Well,
You were not. It's not possible.
Don't worry about that, Mary. You're too practical. Too practical for this policy. You actually want to deliver outcomes.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's what the rest of the council want to do.
Well, I want to also talk about, Henry, just another little tactic last night that I wasn't very impressed with.
Oh, what was that? Mine?
No, actually. Good. No, it's not you
Always
this
very
time.
impressed with mine.
It's not you this time. You were actually quite a good boy last night.
No, I got warned.
Oh, well, so did I.
Yeah, you did.
Apparently. But I got warned because I couldn't believe what was happening before my eyes.
Yeah.
I had a motion on a review on outdoor dining.
What are you doing, Carmel?
And then Carmel sent in a variation. So
a bit of background. So Mary Kouros had a motion on notice.
Yes.
And apparently Councillor Noon had an alternative motion that she wanted to bring up.
Yep. So my motion was for a review in 3 months.
Yep.
Right? Now,
about outdoor dining fees.
For a review. Bring back a report for consideration no later than 3 months, the results of a survey and benchmarking Adelaide outdoor dining fees policies against other capital cities and larger councils in Australia.
Yeah.
Right? So we can't compare ourselves to Prospect or whatever because they're local.
Sure.
We need to compare ourselves to major
other
capital
cities.
cities.
Yeah.
So I didn't think it would be so much controversy. I thought I didn't ask for an action on it now.
Outrage.
I just asked for it in 3 months'
You
time.
want a report? Oh, no.
So Councillor Noon then put forward an amendment that she was going to put forward an amendment. She sent an email that she wants the review to come back in 12 months' time.
Well, that's a long time.
Isn't it? So seeing this amendment, I withdrew my motion. Because I knew there wouldn't be support.
Yeah.
I saw that the way the new faction was in
tweak
town.
Your thing, yeah.
Right. So I
Force.
didn't want to make it difficult for the small businesses in a city because they really are hurting at the moment and worried about their future. So I just wanted to remove it and come back with the motion next fortnight to be able to them for maybe to have a voice in council.
Yeah, a bit of a deputation.
Because this is not...
Because a lot of the councillors aren't business owners. They have no idea what it takes to run a business, or they've never been engaged in private practice or anything like that.
No.
A lot of them have just been, on the government.
And for full
funds.
disclosure, Henry, our family businesses are in hospitality, but we're
My
one of
businesses
those.
are in hospitality as a lawyer.
But in all fairness, we are one of the lucky ones that fill our outdoor dining almost every night.
Yeah.
But there are people that in different sections of the city that are struggling.
Yeah.
So we got to really be mindful of that.
Yep.
I withdrew the motion, and then the Lord Mayor asks Councillor Noon to present my motion with her amendment
on
as
the
a
same
motion
night,
without notice.
to try and usurp your motion so that you then can't move it at a future date.
That's right.
God, that was awful. It's just really bad manners to try and do that.
I was in
The
shock.
Lord Mayor luckily said, no, don't do that. It's just rude.
What Lord Mayor said?
The Lord Mayor said, don't do it. She said to Carmel,
No.
move your motion.
No. The Lord Mayor asked Carmel to move her motion, without notice. Governance told the Lord Mayor, you can't do that because it's not urgent.
Saved by governance.
Saved by governance.
Thank you, governance. We appreciate you. We respect you.
We appreciate that you follow the rules.
Thank you. Isn't it good when governance follow the rules?
So I was really taken
I did
back.
see that whispering, yeah.
Yeah, did you see that whispering?
I did, yeah.
Yes. So it was governance that actually prevented that from happening.
Bad form.
Yeah.
You get a 1 out of 5 potatoes on that one.
So, yeah, I was really taken back with that, Henry.
All right. Well, that was last council meeting.
No achievement on anything, really.
No.
Sorry.
But we were very
sorry,
angry.
City of Adelaide. I'm really sorry.
We'll hope for better next week.
Yes.
Have you got anything important coming up?
Other than
I went to the Ojaja Festival, the opening. That was great.
Oh.
I encourage listeners to go to that.
Well, I really was disappointed I missed out on the Adelaide Festival review of the program that they've got.
Oh, yeah.
That was last night, but I didn't get to go to that because we had a council meeting. But
No.
the Adelaide Festival's coming up. We've got a lot of events coming up in the city. Look it up online, people.
Great. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Mary, I will see you next Tuesday.
See you then.